What's going on, guys? This is Brian from Advancement Hockey Advising here, and today we'll be talking about why you aren't getting the ice time that you want and the steps you can take to maximize your chances of getting more ice time. Not getting the ice time that we want is actually a very common problem, right? A lot of us deal with it. I've been there, trust me, I know. It's incredibly frustrating. It's tough when you really want to, play your best and all that kind of stuff, but the coach is either scratching you, they're not playing you, they're playing you on the fourth line, you're barely playing, and when you're out there, you're cold, right? You don't feel like you can contribute. So I get it. I get that it's incredibly frustrating, but we got good news for you here. In this video, I'll be telling you why exactly that is the reason, and I'll also be sharing with you the steps that you can take to just maximize the chances that you will be getting ice time and that you won't be encountering this problem as much anymore. All right, now before we dive into these things here, as always, just a quick reminder to absolutely smash that like button, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss another video moving forward. Well, let's start by diving into the reasons of why you're not getting the ice time, okay? And in my mind, there's usually two reasons, one being more probable than the other. The most probable reason, and this one's kind of the hard truth here, is that there's a gap between the player that you currently are right now and the player that you need to become for the coach to trust you to put you out in key situations. There's that gap here, and because that gap is there, because you're not the player, you're not good enough right now in the coach's eyes, he doesn't trust you or she doesn't trust you to put you out there in the key moments to help the team win. Because at the end of the day, the coach's job is to help the team win, is to play the players that he thinks are going to give him the best chance to win, okay? And if he doesn't think that about you, if he doesn't trust you enough, he's not going to put you out there regularly. And that's just the hard truth. I hate to be blunt like this, but I have to tell you guys the truth, and this is it here. So that's the most probable. Typically, 95% of the time, this is it. 5% of the time, it's not. It's the least probable, which is this one, is that it's just not the right fit for whatever reason. The coach is out to get you. He just doesn't like you for whatever reason, not the right fit, not the right environment. So you gotta, get a trade, try and find a new environment. Advisors can help you with that. Coaches could also help you with that and all that kind of stuff. But try and find a new environment where you can have a better fit and where the coach doesn't think that gap is there pretty much and does actually like you. But 95% of the time, the onus is on you. It's because there's a gap there and you need to fill that gap and gain the coach's trust before they start giving you ice time. What steps can we take here to, prevent this problem from happening, to, potentially get more ice time, to gain the coach's trust and all that? Well, you've come to the right place here. So step number one, and this is the most important because some people skip this step and it ruins all the other steps. Step number one is to take full ownership. Don't blame the coach. Don't blame your teammates. Don't blame others. Don't go to negative town. Don't play the victim card. Don't do any of that. None of that helps. None of that's going to serve anyone. None of that's going to help anyone. It's only going to hurt you and the team at the end of the day. So do not do that, okay? Acknowledge the situation you're in. Take full ownership, full onus on yourself, and acknowledge that there's things that you can do to get better to make sure that you get that ice time, you bridge that gap, you gain the coach's trust, and that you start playing more. Once you've taken that ownership here, let's move on to step number two, and that is to actually meet with your coach. Now, if you don't get ice time one game or anything like that, just a caveat here, don't go and talk to the coach, okay? Don't waste their time with that. If it's just one game and it's an anomaly, don't go talk to them. But if you see that it's a consistent pattern over and over again, you're always on the fourth line, you're getting scratched sometimes, all that kind of stuff, then yes, you want to meet with the coach. You don't want to give them the idea that you're complacent and that you're okay with it, right? You want to meet with them at some point. Pro tip here, meet with the assistant first if you can, okay? If the assistant's available, if he's easy to talk to and all that stuff, typically they are a little bit easier to talk to than the head coaches, and you can kind of get a feel as to what you need to do, right? When it's time to meet with a coach, you don't want to go in there and say, "Coach, why aren't I getting ice time? Coach, this is terrible, like this isn't fair," all that kind of stuff. You don't want to complain, you don't want to sound whiny, you don't want to be all about you. You want to kind of take this approach here and say, "Coach, listen, like right now I've noticed like my ice time's gone down. I take full ownership. That's probably something I'm doing, and I'm just here to try and figure out what that is because I want to help this team as much as I can. I want to be out there, be an impact player on this team so we can win and we can achieve great things." But something around those lines, ask the coach, where the trust was lost, what things that you have to improve, all that kind of stuff to help the team. Make sure you emphasize you want to help the team, because if you frame it this way, the coach is much more likely to open open up to you and be honest with you. And also too, a pro tip here, tell the coach, like, be completely honest with me because I do want to improve, you know? If you generally tell him that you want him to be honest, 99% of the time, good coaches always, but coaches in general will tell you what's going on, what they think is wrong, okay? They'll give you a couple things to work on, and from there you have a clear idea, okay, this is where the gap is, okay? You know what's going on, so now you know what you need to work on, which is huge, right? Because if you never have that meeting with the coach, you'll never know. Or if you go in there, start complaining and all this stuff, the coach might tell you just leave, which most coaches will. They might kick you off the team if you're complaining too much and all that, or they just won't play you anymore at all, or they just won't give you a straight up answer, okay? So really important to frame it the right way when you go and talk with the coach. So you've done step number 1, step number 2, now you're ready. Step number 3, the last one here, is the most obvious. It is to consistently do the work, okay? You know what you need to do now? You have to consistently show up and do it. But this one is the hardest here because a lot of players, they start doing the work, they get all pumped up, they're motivated, okay, if I just do this, I'll bridge this gap and it'll happen like soon and I'll get ice time right now. The results aren't immediate like that. It takes time to bridge that gap, okay? And you have to consistently show up, put in the extra reps, put in the extra work on that weakness or several weaknesses that your coach talked about, and really work on becoming an impact player. It takes time to do that. And you have to be the one that consistently shows up day in and day out, and that doesn't stop. Too many players I see, they do it for a few weeks, and then they get discouraged, they don't bridge that gap, they don't get ice time, they just give up, right? I know a couple clients kind of going through that right now, but fortunately, you know, I kind of tell them, just keep doing it, keep doing the extra little efforts, and the coaches will notice. Trust me when I say this, if you keep consistently working on what the coach told you, and you can keep consistently doing it, they will notice. I promise you that. And your teammates will notice, and you will notice as well. As you keep doing it, you'll notice in the long term, you'll become actually a better hockey player. And then magical things happen to people who consistently put in the work and who don't give up. If you do that, eventually, it might not be a week from now, it might not be a month from now, it might be several months from now, if not longer, but eventually you will bridge that gap, you will get the results, and eventually, I promise you, the coach will notice and you should get more ice time. All right, so let's just do a quick recap of the main points here. So first, the reasons why you're not getting the ice time. The most probable one here is that there's a gap between the player that you are now and the player that you need to be to get that ice time, so the coach trusts you to put you out on key situations. And the least probable here, like 5% of the time, is just not the right fit with the coach, that there's something that they don't like about you, the team environment's not great, and you need to find a new environment. But most of the time, it's that gap here that we're talking about. And after that, the 3 main steps that you have to take here is number 1, take full ownership, all right? Don't blame others. Number 2, you have to meet with the coach and frame your conversation the right way as to how you can get better. And then number 3, you have to consistently do the work and not stop. All right, guys, that is it for the video. If you enjoyed this video, if you have any questions or anything you want to talk to us about, feel free to drop a comment down below or email us at info@ahadvising.com and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And again, if you're new here and if you like this video, if you got any value out of it, consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss another video moving forward. All right, guys, that is it for the video. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you on that next one.